everyone, we're stoked to be here. I am Sylvie, co-founder and CEO of Atomiq Labs, and that's Adam, my co-founder and CTO. With Atomiq, our aim is to connect Bitcoin and Solana in a fully trustless way. We're offering swaps between both ways. So in that sense, our aim is to bring more Bitcoin liquidity into Solana and also enhancing the interoperability between those chains. So our angel investor Mert has taught us one thing. Start with your strongest slide first if you pitch or present. So we're starting with our user feedback. The smoothest Bitcoin product I've ever used. Not only is Atomiq awesome, it keeps getting better. Sold to BTC, it's beautiful. Thanks, Atomiq Labs. This is what our users say about us. And to us, it's always very important to get our users together, get the user feedback in, and develop Atomiq.exchange together with our users. What is Atomiq.exchange? So far, if you want to swap Bitcoin, you always are usually almost always handcuffed to a centralized exchange. But this is going to change now. With Atomiq, you can swap fully trustlessly between Bitcoin, on-chain and Lightning, and Solana. Currently, we support Sol, USDC, WBTC, and Bonk on the Solana side. So what is Atomiq's secret sauce, and what makes our swaps fully trustlessly? First of all, we are secured by Bitcoin's proof of work and are fully trustless via a Bitcoin Lite client. A Bitcoin Lite client is basically like storing Bitcoin transaction data on the Solana blockchain. So therefore, we can verify Bitcoin transactions on Solana. The second part, what makes us special, is request for quote, RFQ. I'm not sure if anyone has heard about it before, but RFQ is basically a concept that's coming from traditional finance, where LPs or counterparties send binding quotes to a user. And this is what we do here. Therefore, with RFQ, there is zero slippage. Unlike AMM, where the LP has to maintain really large liquidity pools in order to minimize slippage, that's not the case with us because you as a liquidity provider run your own nodes. Therefore, our capital efficiency is 20x higher compared to AMM. So how does the Atomiq escrow work exactly? Of course, we're secured by Bitcoin's proof of work, and I'm just going to walk you through on a high level how this works in the background. We are using a swap from Sol to BTC for that. So first of all, after receiving the binding quote and accepting it, a user locks up tokens in a Solana smart contract vault, in this case, Sol. What happens next is that the LP observes the creation of the smart contract vault and knows that the Sol is locked up safely and the user cannot access it anymore. Therefore, the LP feels comfortable to send the Bitcoin transaction. What happens next is the magic of the Lite client. So the Lite client verifies the Bitcoin transaction on Solana. Once that happened, you know that the Bitcoin transaction really took place. And in this picture, you see like a little Bitcoin key unlocking the vault. This is basically the magic of the Lite client. So once the Bitcoin transaction is confirmed, the smart contract vault releases the Sol tokens to the LP. So how can we, as Atomiq Labs, help to bring more Bitcoin liquidity into Solana? One of the things is our Atomiq SDK. You can integrate, any Solana protocol can integrate it. It's a TypeScript SDK. It brings full Atomiq protocol security. The SDK also verifies transaction itself, and it runs in Node.js and browser environments. So what are the actual use cases for the Atomiq SDK? First of all, it's lending protocols and perp dexes on Solana. They can use they can swap from BTC, or the user in this case, coming from Bitcoin, can swap from native BTC into WBTC or CBBTC on Solana and use it, for example, either to provide liquidity or to borrow against it as collateral and get USDC. Second use case is wallets. So wallets can integrate the Atomiq SDK and provide their users with seamless access and seamless interoperability between Bitcoin and Solana. We also brought one case today, Lemon Drop. That's a project that already integrated our SDK that's also on Solana. And now I'll tell you a little bit more about Lemon Drop and how they utilize the Atomiq SDK. So with Lemon Drop, you can stack sats while you're swapping Sol. What is a sat? A sat is the smallest denomination of Bitcoin. So therefore, anytime you do a anytime you do a Solana transaction, let's say you're buying the hottest new coin and investing $2,000, you can decide, oh, I actually at the same time want to swap 1% of the $2,000, so $20, into Bitcoin directly. How does this work? Lemon Drop exchanges your Sol for wrapped BTC. And Atomiq in the background can then, at some point, when you have stacked a considerable amount of WBTC or CBBTC, we can help to actually exchange that from wrapped BTC into native BTC. Why the heck should you actually do that? The issue with wrapped BTC is security. Because in the end, the underlying Bitcoin is held by custodians, so this is not trustless. You're basically trusting the custodians that are holding the actual underlying BTC. So yeah, this is basically Lemon Drop. Go give them a follow on Twitter. Lemon Drop Fi is their handle. And yeah, Lemon Drop is basically even helping the biggest degens to stay solvent. So how can you actually provide liquidity for Atomiq? First of all, as we're running on RFQ, we're not bound to the pool liquidity model. With Atomiq, you as a liquidity provider run your own nodes and at the same time our software. This gives you a lot more flexibility because you can basically control the pricing, the fees, as well as the bid-ask spread. So how does this work? You basically decide, hey, I want to offer the wrapped Bitcoin pair on Solana. This is also the pair that brings the smallest risk in a way because it doesn't introduce any price risk in that sense. And then you choose the trading pair. You can set your own pricing. So you, for example, can say, hey, I charge 0.3%. The very easiest case in terms of pricing is just you fetch the current market price from Binance. But this can also go as far as hey, we're very sophisticated and running our own crazy trading algorithms. And last but not least, and most importantly, you can start earning trading fees with every single swap. And now I'm handing over to Adam, my co-founder, to show you how Atomiq actually works in action.
Hey, so we took a real tangible example here of what you can do and what you can use Atomiq as a web app for. So we have a case here where we want to buy a Bitcoin ordinal. So this is NFT in the Bitcoin world. So I already have my Xsource wallet connected here, but if I try to buy one, I'm gonna realize that I basically don't have enough funds here. Yeah. So I see that in total, I will have to pay around this much. So I will go to Atomiq, where I already have my Solana wallet and my Bitcoin wallet connected. I will say I want to swap this much plus, let's say, something on top. I will go through the swap process here. Confirm in the Phantom wallet. Now, basically, the USDC on Solana is swapped to BTC, which happens very quickly. And as soon as that happens, I should be able to buy it here. Yes. Yep. Confirm on the Bitcoin side. And yay. It worked out. And now, not here, but I can go to my profile here, and I will see that I have this NFT here, and it's basically just waiting for the Bitcoin transaction to confirm. Right. So, let's go back to the presentation. So we have some upcoming features that we would like to share with you here. So the first of it is frictionless onboarding to Solana for newcomers. So currently, with our swap design, it's not very newcomer friendly. So if you're a new user who just comes from BTC to Solana, it's not good because you need to actually initiate the swap on Solana. So you need to have and hold some Solana tokens in order to swap to Solana, which is kind of counterintuitive. And we tried to hotfix this with the swap for gas feature, such that you can first swap for a little bit of Solana and then do the swap. So, but for that, we had to use Lightning, which is an L2 on Bitcoin, which is instant. But yeah, like a lot of the people don't know what Lightning is. So this was really not usable for new users trying to come from BTC to Solana. So we tried to see how we can improve the process, and we figured a way how to do these swaps while remaining still fully trustless, but not requiring you to hold any sol to begin with. So you can basically onboard with any Bitcoin wallet into Solana. And in addition to that, you can also receive a gas drop in Sol, such that you can hit the ground running on Solana and do the transactions. But that's not all. So once we have this primitive, we started thinking a bit further. Like, what's the usual user journey when user comes from BTC to Solana, right? They don't just want to have WBTC on Solana or hold Sol, right? They probably want to do something with their BTC. And one very tangible use case of that is basically borrowing against your BTC as collateral. So how the usual user journey would work is that you go to Atomiq, swap from BTC to WBTC, which takes 20-30 minutes because of the Bitcoin block time. So you need to wait for that amount and then come back, go to Camino, approve the borrowing there, and finally get the USDC. So you have to do 2 steps, and you have to wait 20-30 minutes between them, which is not a great UX. So we basically allow to abstract this from the user, such that this whole part can be handled by Atomiq through what are basically hooks on success, so that you don't have to do this approval anymore. So what you do, you just come as a Bitcoiner, you approve that one BTC transaction, and that then authorizes the whole flow. So your BTC is swapped to WBTC on Solana, it's deposited into Camino, and the loan is taken against that BTC collateral, and you get USDC in your Solana wallet. So that's it for our presentation. We're also looking for a founding engineer. So we are looking for someone which has like a general knowledge, generally in TypeScript, and who has a bit of an understanding of BTC, as well as Solana, and also like other chains as well. So if you know someone, please hit us up or talk to us after the presentation. And yeah, that's it. So that's our Twitter account, where you'll see also the links on top for docs, GitHub, and things like that. And there on the left side, you have the Telegram handle of Sylvie here, who you can reach out to in case you're interested in like either integrating the SDK, providing liquidity, or know some people who could be a great fit for the founding engineer role.
And of course, if you're a great engineer yourself, you're also allowed to hit us up.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, in case anyone has questions, we can do that.
Any questions, anyone?
Hey, name's Kyle. You were discussing, and I do SVM node operations. You discussed a component about node operating that an individual runs. Is that quite literally running a hard, like a validator or something of the sort? So can you go into that or what that actually means?
Not really. I mean, currently, what it entails is basically just running a Bitcoin node. So that's like the most intensive part. But then apart from that, it's really like a lightweight thing to do. I mean, you basically just manage, like the node basically just manages the funds of its own and then responds to this like RFQ requests. So it's pretty lightweight. You don't need like a infrastructure like for a Solana validator.
But okay, I guess the hardware requirements, but like every individual that wants to participate needs to run a BTC node, or how many? Explain who needs to run a BTC node, and I guess why they have to do that.
Yeah, right. So I mean, we went for that because like running a BTC node is not that complicated. It's actually like, yeah, I mean, you can run it on a Raspberry Pi, right?
Okay.
So we said like, hey, we will do that because that improves the trust aspect of that, right? You don't have to trust a third-party RPC to do that.
Okay.
So with Solana, it's tricky because then you would require every node to run like on a very powerful machine. So there we just said, okay, like it's not reasonable to do that. But for the BTC side, we said, okay, it's not that big of an increase in difficulty for a big increase in like security that you get from that. So we opted for that. For now.
Is that like, is it anyone who's providing liquidity is required to run a BTC node, or like who has to run a BTC node to make this system work?
So you as a liquidity provider, you run a node, and that's it. So actually the security of the system doesn't even come from the number of these LP nodes in the network, right? It's completely separated. So
to facilitate.
So the system is trustless, but doesn't necessarily need to be decentralized. So the trustlessness doesn't come from decentralization, but from the fact that we use this Bitcoin Lite client to basically verify transactions and make it trustless.
Okay, and follow-up question, unrelated. You said Mert was an angel investor, and Mert's notoriously good for analyzing people's pitches and things. What was it about your project that excited him?
We were not able to understand this. I'm very sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, because they're screaming over there. You started with saying that Mert's one of your angel investors, which is great. And he's notorious for, breaking apart pitches.
Yeah.
What was it that Mert liked about what you're putting together that made him want to sign a check for you?
I'm pretty sure it was, first of all, we had a solution live on mainnet. It worked. It was usable. And I think this is what hooked him up. And then in the end, he likes to support teams on Solana. And yeah, we're building like very good tech, I'd say.
Yeah, great. Okay, let's talk after, because I am an engineer and I've been working on Solana for 5 years. So I will come pick your brain, and I like BTC. So I'll come talk to you after this.
Awesome.
I'll let someone else answer a question.
Let's make it happen. Any other questions?
All right. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.